as adults, you know, a lot of times we have feelings that may be perceived or judged as negative
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, but
Mhm.
we're upset, we feel angry, we feel disappointed. And it's good to let that out. It's
Absolutely.
good to give it expression in a healthy way. It doesn't cause any harm to anyone else. And keeping it within ourselves causes us harm.
Right.
So
Yeah.
get it out, get the words out, so that you can release it and move yourself into another space.
Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery, where transformation meets action. I'm Eugene Holden. I'm one of your guides on this journey of personal growth, mindset shifts, and deep self-awareness. Each episode, we dive into the tools, wisdom, and strategies you need to break through limitations and step into your highest potential. No fluff, no shortcuts here, just real conversations, practical insights, and a community dedicated to mastery in every area of life. So, if you're ready to unlock your power, elevate your mindset, and create a life by design, then let's get started. Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Welcome to the deep end.
Here on the Academy of Self-Mastery, and this is one of those beautiful occasions where it's the fruit salad, which means that you have all of us on here. The only one who's missing today is Sharon Barone, but she'll be at the next one. And so today I have with me, of course, Ell Graniel, also known as Lola, and Reverend Melissa, also known as Rev Mel. And of course, I am Eugene Holden, also known as George. Hello, Park Peters. Yeah.
Also known as Eugenius, I must.
Also known as
Oh,
Eugenius.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. 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 Which takes me, that's a great segue, right? Because today we're speaking about the power of words and well, come back. And your name, my name is a word. So I remember, Elle, when Dr. Livmy christened me that Eugene, instead it took me years to grow into it because there's
Mhm.
power in words and power in names. But
Mhm.
talking about the power of your word, the power to create. So I just want to start there, and whoever wants to dive in about what your feelings are on that, the power of your word.
Yeah, this for me, well, being a wordsmith, right? Being a writer, so the power of words are huge for me. And I watched the last episode with you and Melissa, and she was looking up the word transformational, I think, in the
Mm.
dictionary or the wherever, and and just the subtext of all words. And right away in my head, the first word that popped in my mind was resolve.
Mm,
And I was just thinking, it was mind blowing to me, like things are already solved. Like
Mm.
God has the plan, it's already, but we have to resolve it. We have to get in there and go, oh, this is
wow.
where I belong. Oh, this is how it is. Oh, this is who I am. So when
Mm.
we resolve things, we actually just are getting back to how it was.
Mm,
Mm.
And that was
mm.
my perception on that. That was what drifted in. As I say, I get these, kind of these messages. And so I wanted to share that today.
I love that. Yeah, we were talking about transformation and the prefix of trans,
Hmm.
meaning change, is registered, what registers now.
Hmm.
And changing form,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
And the power of our word assists us in changing form. Like
Exactly.
I just think about things that I used to say. And when I thought about what I was saying, and then I realized, okay, I really don't want that to come into form. Oh, I didn't use that word at the time, but I really don't want that. I don't want that to come into my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me more conscious when I was younger about the words that I would speak. And, sometimes if I get into a disagreement, I would say to myself, do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth?
Mm.
To stop myself from saying words that I do not want to come into form.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my little thing to myself. Do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? Stop.
Yeah, that's powerful because what's been spoken cannot be unheard. We
Yes.
cannot, which is why it's such a joke when they say in court, strike that from the record. Well, you can say whatever you want. The jury still heard it. They can't unhear it. And so when we think about when we do get into arguments and we say we're sorry, it's difficult to accept the apology from the other person because they can't unhear what we said, or what we did. But the power of what you were speaking to, Melissa, and we've talked about this before in the group, the power of what follows I am.
Yeah.
The words you choose to put after that have a lot of power. And so be really mindful about the labels that you give yourself and why.
Yeah. 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 You know how I feel about those two words, the I am.
You have a
And
great sermon on that.
yeah, I love the I am because it is exactly what you said. Anything that we put after I am, we create, which I want to go back to what you were talking about, Melissa. Um, do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? Because I don't want to I don't want to have that come into form. So the why not is not about not wanting that to come into form, but why be aware of what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because words are creative, right? Yeah, it's so beautiful that and I say this a lot, that we have been so beautifully crafted as
Yeah.
human beings on this beautiful planet. On this beautiful, beautiful planet. And we create by our words and thoughts. Of course, thoughts are words that are not spoken, but they're still words,
And they're
right?
still heard.
And they're still heard. That's the
Mhm.
most important part.
Absolutely. And then the other part of this is also being very discerning, in particular, about the words you're around. So I don't want to be around the words that come through on the
Right.
news. I don't want to be around the words
Mhm.
that are not in alignment with my words, with words of love, of joy, of upliftment.
Mhm.
So my tolerance for that is
Yeah.
very, very, very low. And I will find a way to remove myself,
Yeah.
to protect myself,
Yeah.
from that, from those words that don't speak life. It's just as simple as that for me.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I'll stop my clients dead in their tracks and say, what do you want? When they're going off on that tangent of what they don't want.
Right.
We got to just stop the words right there, stop the thoughts right there. And then the facial expressions of being asked, what do they want? They've never thought of it. They've
Right.
never been asked. It takes pause. They literally stop talking for a moment because it sends the brain in a positive direction. starts to build those new neural pathways of
Mhm.
what I want in expectation versus, well, of course, this is why me, because that's the play I wrote.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I would even go so far as to say that it's not that they have not been asked what they want. I think that they've just not been stopped in saying what they don't want. Right.
Yeah.
So what do you want? Well, I don't want this and I don't want that. And so people are allowed, and I was there as of course, allowed just to
Mhm.
keep going with that. So thank you for being that voice of going, wait a minute, stop. With my clients, I sometimes being the never anyway. Um, it's like so great, but that wasn't the question.
Yeah.
The question is, what do you want?
Uh-huh.
And you're right, the same thing. The facial expression changes because now they're really tapping into, oh, what do I want? And sometimes it's good to know what we don't want in order to know what we do want. We need
Yes,
that contrast
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the
absolutely.
power of the word.
Mhm. You know,
Yeah.
when you think about when you're at a canyon or something and you say, hello, 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 hello,
Yes.
you know, because that's your word, it echoes back to you. Never in a million years, hello, goodbye, goodbye, no, you get your own words back, amplified and triplified, and so being really careful about what you speak into the void, so to speak, especially because it's really coming back multiple ways back at you.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It is. And who knows why? We just know that it does.
Mm-hmm.
We just know
Mhm.
that it does. I love what you were saying, using the echo analogy, because I was speaking with someone this morning about that same exact thing, and with the echo, it bounces off of the wall of the mountain or the room or whatever, but it comes back. So with that same frequency or that same thought, recognizing and realizing that when I speak my word, that source, whatever that no name thing is that we call all kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
will echo that back because that's just what it does. And for me to be clear on that, oh gosh, the Aramaic Lord's Prayer, right? Beautiful, powerful. And the last word, Amen, as we say, Amen. But from the Aramaic tradition, that one word symbolizes so much, one of which is what I've just spoken is the foundation upon which my life stands.
Mm-hmm.
Or these are words of power, which are the ground from which my life springs. When I first learned that, I got really, really clear about using my words because they are the foundation of my life. The power of our words, man, which is, in my humble opinion, is the only thing that we own. The only thing I own is my word. Yeah. Be impeccable with your word.
Yes, yes. And also the power of if somebody says to me or I say to somebody else, I give you my word,
Mm,
I believe 100% that it is done.
yeah.
Now, that's not to say it hasn't not happened,
Mm-hmm.
but that's such a powerful statement to
Mm-hmm.
make.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you don't hear it a lot. It's a big promise.
Yeah. Yeah. This is bringing up a memory for me of matching the words with the tone, right? Because someone could say something, and based on the tone in which they say it, you would get a different feeling. You'll receive it, you know, depending on
Mhm.
how they speak it, what the tone is. And I remember when my girls were little, something happened. I can't recall what it was. And I was chastising her about it. And she said to me, Mommy, I come to you in peace and you come to me in war. And it just stopped me in my tracks because all we were doing was speaking to each other, you know, about whatever it was that I wasn't happy about that she had done. And when I reflected back on it, she was calm in what she was explaining to me about why she did what she did. And although my words were not harsh, my tone was harsh. And she received it as war. So it's not just the words that we speak, it's also the vibration, the energy, the tone that we are delivering it with, that's coming from within us. And so that taught me a really, really powerful lesson as a mother for the first time, to not speak in anger, to like take a moment, get myself at a even space before I speak, especially to my children. You know, that was like, I think she was probably 5 years old. It was such a powerful lesson for me.
That's a beautiful story. And that you still remember it.
Oh yeah.
That was so
it's one of those markers, you know, it's a memory marker.
It was a transformational moment.
Yes, it was out of the mouth of babes. Right?
Yeah. You know, how many times have we all, you know, may have been in situations just like that, or vice versa, or switched around with someone where it's not that what I said was wrong, or I mean, I meant what I said, just not how it came out. Yeah. Yeah, because vibration, you know, which takes us takes us a little bit deeper to the deep end. Speaking your word with vibration. What is your vibration? What is your come from? You know? Yeah. What is your come from? So for example, I can say that I'm abundant all day long, but if my feeling tone, my thought is that I'm not, that universal intelligence, whatever we want to call that thing with no name, will respond. I love what you say, Melissa. The law of yes. It only knows how to give back what we give it. It echoes back to us what we give it. Ooh.
Yes.
Exactly.
So how do
that
you
makes me laugh about the Southern response, bless you, or I'll pray for you, when the intention behind it is it's not exactly it's the intention is not as pure as the words imply.
Yes. Yeah, one of my favorites of that is bless his little heart.
Right? Knowing that what they really mean is something totally different. Oh, look at the little boy over there. Bless his heart. And his cotton socks.
He's so special.
He's so special. You know, words, right? Well, at least they're cute. You know, it's like we as humans, so beautifully crafted, come up with some of the most interesting things that we create from.
Absolutely. And we're talking about the alignment of it all. The alignment of our words, the alignment of our thoughts, the alignment of our actions, the alignment of the tone, the alignment of the vibration. It has to be congruent.
Yes.
For it to be,
get the result that we're looking
to be effective. Yeah.
It also makes me think of, okay, so we have lyrics, which are words, and if you just speak them, they don't have the impact that once we add the melody and the sound and it becomes sung instead of spoken, and it helps us feel a certain way and think a certain way. And then we'll hear an artist do a cover completely different. not just a cover, but you know how they'll take a fast song and make it a melody of a love song, almost a ballad. And for me, that's always mind blowing because I feel differently about the song based on the vibration, even though the words are the same.
Right. Yeah. You know, one of my clearest examples of what you're saying, El, is a song by Roberta Flack, came out 1972 album called "Do What You Want to Do." Beautiful song, beautiful song. The orchestration is gorgeous. But she didn't write that song. The original was by Nina Simone. Totally different song. They're not the same. Same words, but they're not the same. I mean, that vibration. Yeah. So again, words and alignment and the vibration, so crucial when we talk about creating lives, or creating a life that we love to live, to be enjoyed, to have just a nice, abundant, peace-filled life. Being mindful of what I think and what I say, because my word is the foundation upon which my life stands. That's amazing. Everything, man, everything is created by a thought.
We've gotten away from what Melissa was saying about taking time to pause. Life is so fast and so swipey and so clicky and so many options that we've forgotten the value of what 3 seconds can do for us of silence. 3 seconds, people. I'm not even talking a minute. And that's why, in my opinion, in parenting, when we count down for our kids, like the threat, of if you don't do this, we're really giving us pause. We're really counting ourselves down.
Yeah.
Ideally, not to anger, but to distance ourselves from the situation and slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't heard it put like that. That's brilliant, but you're right. I'm going to give you to the count of 3. It's not about them. It's about me. Conversely, child is upset about whatever, and we ask them to count to 10. It's not about the count. It's about the breath, right? So breathing into the word. We can go so many different ways with this. Breath, spirit. Oh, put spirit behind your word. Ooh, be excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also about redirection. When you
Yes.
give a child the chance to count to 10, then the mind has something else to do besides being upset about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why this conversation is bringing up so many memories for me when the girls were little. It's probably because they're getting ready to go off to college. So I'm in a moment right now, And when we talk about our words, it's also very loving towards ourselves to get out words that reflect how we're feeling. And I remember Aria, my other daughter, loved shoes when she was like 2, 3 years old, loved shoes. And whenever we would go into a store, I realized, she likes shoes. So I would do my best not to go down the aisle that had the shoes because she would want me to stop and she would want to try on the shoes and it would be this whole thing. And so one day I was distracted and I went down the aisle with the shoes. And she saw these shiny black, no, they weren't black. They were like a sky blue, aqua blue. I can see them now. Aqua blue patent leather shoes. And she wanted these shoes and she begged me to let her try on these shoes. I said, no, we have to go. And she just was crying and crying and crying and crying. And I just let them cry. I'm like, I'm fine with it. I understand because when I want stuff and I can't have it, I feel like doing the very same thing that she's doing. And so she was crying and crying and crying. I asked her, why are you crying? She said, shoes, mommy, shoes, shoes, shoes. And we get online and she's still saying, shoes, mommy, shoes, shoes. And I was like, no, we're not doing the shoe thing today. And I never forget, this woman was standing behind me and her face was like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's how I received the look on her face. Like, why are you letting this child cry and carry on like this and you're not doing something about it? But I was doing something about it. I understood. She wanted the shoes. Let it out, baby. Let it out. She was expressing it the way a 3-year-old would express not getting something that they want. So as adults, you know, a lot of times we have feelings that may be perceived or judged as negative or whatever, but they're just, we're upset, we feel angry, we feel disappointed, and it's good to let that out. Absolutely. It's good to give it expression in a healthy way. You know, it doesn't cause any harm to anyone else, and keeping it within ourselves causes us harm. Right. So get it out, you know, get the words out, so that you can release it and move yourself into another space and honor yourself, honor how you're feeling, using your own words to express it. Because that was my other thing with my girls, other people telling them how they feel. No. They have words. They know how to express how they're feeling. So this whole conversation is just bringing up all of these little memories of those moments where they got to speak their truth. Yeah.
The nerve of some adults to say to a child, you shouldn't be upset. You don't have any right to be upset. You know, there's nothing to be upset about, versions of that. Which also, Melissa, when you said getting out the words in a way that's not harmful to others, what are some ways people can do that? Because with kids, you can say shoes, mommy, shoes, and cry. As a grown adult, what are some versions of that?
Yeah, I feel. Just saying I feel, not saying, and I had to learn this too, you made me feel. Right. No. I feel. This is what I feel when this happens. Right? So it's still about me. I'm not putting anything on you. It's about me, my feelings, and me being able to express my feelings and own them.
Yeah.
And that's so important. You know, when I learned that I can't make, or let me put it this way, when I learned that people can't make me feel any way whatsoever, you know, and then also, well, when I learned that, it's like, okay, now let me take responsibility about how I feel about what's been said. Has nothing to do with them. And then folks say, well, I don't mean to make you feel, you know, in any certain way. And I've been known to say, well, you know, you can't make me feel in anyway, because that's my power. And it's interesting to watch some of the reactions to people hearing that. What do you mean I can't make you feel anything? Exactly that. Just like I can't make you feel any. That's your responsibility. You know, I wanted to go back and, you know, how do we, and because this is still about the power of, you know, words. So I'm not going to let anyone's word have power over me. I have responsibility for how I receive that and then respond to it or react to it or whatever that case may be. 9 times out of 10, it's to respond, because I'll walk away if I feel a reaction. You know, I'll walk away so I can breathe and count to 10 and then come back and have the conversation from a place of truth, at least from my truth. This is how I feel. You know, when you said this, I felt that. Yeah. I'm not saying that what you said was wrong. This is just how I felt.
Yeah.
This is where I was going back to, and you know how words are how we speak to one another, and just as important, if not more importantly, how I speak to me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so important.
And watching out for those universal qualifier words like, you always upset me every time you do this. Always,
Right.
every time.
Right?
And to ourselves too. Oh, this is where I always screw up.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
always. Well, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or whatever. Now we're looking at the truth, right? So speak to ourselves like we would do a 5-year-old
Right.
Yeah.
with love and kindness, ideally.
Right. Yeah. Ideally. Ideally. Yeah. Yeah. The power of words to create. Yeah, they always create some
Yeah.
kind of a feeling. Going back to what you were saying, Melissa, you know, your daughter saying, "Mommy, I come to you in peace," and you could, and she's that young, feeling that vibration.
Yeah. And I mean, she hit the nail on the head. I was pissed. So
Dag nabbit, sheesh. Out of the mouth of babes, you know,
yes, yes.
if grown-ups, we as parents allow children to teach us, they have so much to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They have a lot less judgment at a young age. Also, because when we speak our word, it comes back without judgment. Because the formless doesn't say, do you really want this? You spoke the word. So for better or for worse, you're getting what you don't want or what you do want.
Mhm.
And I think children are really good at being non-judgmental and speaking the truth from awareness, from perception.
Boy, sometimes do they ever speak the truth? It's like, shh, don't say that, even though it's true. Yeah, speak the
Absolutely.
truth. Yeah. What else was there?
And
I think,
also, not just the words that we speak, but also the power of writing.
Mm,
I love writing, and Elle, you're a writer. The power of handwriting specifically
mhm.
is just it's very powerful for me. So if there's something that I'm desiring and I write it down,
mm,
it activates my brain, it activates, everything just like gears up from just simply writing down the words and then, working with what I've written, you know?
Yeah. The neuroplasticity, neuroscience behind that is writing activates the logical side of your brain, right? And then the words, the thinking is the creative side. So when you can cross that middle section of your brain, that line, anything that can affect both sides at the same time is going to have more power.
Hmm.
And that's why it makes me sad that kids aren't learning to write in school anymore because they're missing, they won't be able to activate and fire in both directions
Yeah.
by typing or by talking.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that last point up, El, because I was going to ask you your thought about, so is there a difference between writing and typing it out? And I know the answer for me that there is. It just doesn't feel the same, but I didn't know the science behind it. So thank you for that. I just
And
knew
it
that it
doesn't
works.
matter if your writing is messy. It only matters that
Right,
you can read it.
right,
That's
right,
what matters.
right. Yeah,
It's the way your brain processes the information. There's nothing wrong with it.
yeah. You know, there's, the a process, a spiritual technology called the visioning process. And I know some people who like to, when they do that process and they write their notes, but they type it onto their laptop. And I tried that. I just can't do that because it doesn't feel the same. Oh, I now I see what that connection is, Al. Because when I write, I'm still on whatever side of that brain is while I'm doing it, because then I can immediately go back in. While I'm on my laptop, I have to think after because I'm not a typist. So I'm looking at the keyboard, right, which takes me out of. Then I got to spend another 10 seconds to come back. But when I'm writing, I don't leave that space. Oh, and for me, that visioning process is dictation. I'm just writing down what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. On the keyboard, I have to, okay, where's the H? Where's the T? Yeah, beautiful. Can you repeat what you said and how that works scientifically?
Writing is a cognitive skill that we learn. So it affects the logical side of the brain, the left side. Whereas creation in our mind, thinking words, thinking concepts, having feelings about those words is all in the creative side of the brain, right? So the right side. So when we are imagining what we want to be thinking or writing, and we're actually writing it down, it's firing both sides. We're getting the what we have learned is the task of writing, which is very logical. And then we're allowing the creativity to still flow so that it can cross. When you see a brain scan, you see that line down the middle of the brain, right? So it's one of that's why some people like architects, people who write songs, and the music, there's certain careers that activate both sides, the creative and the logical. But a lot of opportunities work-wise stick us in, the cognitive, more logical side. And so that's why it's really important to balance it out. If we're super creative, we want to do some logical things because we need the brain firing on all cylinders, right? Not just getting overloaded on one side, which is why when people get older and they say, well, I'm going to do crossword puzzles because they're good for your brain, but that's not enough, because once it no longer becomes a challenge for your logical mind, you need a new challenge. And I'm on year 3 of learning a second language. And I don't know when that challenge is going to end. But I really feel it activating brain cells that were kind of laying dormant for a while. So again, you're thinking about how much can I activate both my logical and my creative sides of my brain, and what activities can I do that cross them over at the same time?
Yeah.
And singing is another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of music, what really I love playing percussion. Love playing because it's a totally different form of communication. And being it's a different way that the body gets to communicate what it's hearing in the form of conga drums and whatever the music is. And it's just an amazing feeling to be the instrument of that vibration that flows through.
Yeah.
The language of the music.
And there's a part of my brain that's bothering me right now. So the left side of your brain is your logical side. The right side of your brain is your creative side. Not sure I said that properly a few moments ago.
The left side of your brain is your logical side, and the right side of your brain is your creative side.
And people confuse that often because I think we want the right side to be the logical side because most of us are right-handed. So we tend to think, but the brain crosses over.
Right.
And so the way that I learned it a long time ago was L for logic, L for left.
Yeah.
And then that makes the other one the other side. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. What's
So
the
that's
name?
it. That's interesting because I'm left-handed and one of my girls is left-handed. My father is left-handed. And I always thought, so maybe it's the crossing over.
Yes, you're both. You're ambidextrous in your brain, I bet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there are certain things I can do either way, left or right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think about it, the way that I take in what you're speaking about is the connectivity. Because we're looking for a way to join together. We're looking for a way to make to of wholeness,
Yes. Yes.
right? And it's the same with our words. We want to speak words of wholeness and holiness. And so that connectivity of speaking our words that reflect who we are as divine beings.
Mm.
So that's how all of this is landing for me now.
Yeah. And it takes the both sides, and listening to all of this in the last 30 seconds, what the two words that I wrote down was yin yang, right? Because we need both.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the power of the word coupled with the inspiration. Oh no, there it is. The energy, the vibration, the tone.
Mm-hmm.
The yin and the yang of the word, whatever that word is, and which brings in coming into alignment. Here it is. The word being in alignment with the vibration of what we're speaking for that to come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Phew. To use both sides, both the logical and the creative side. Boy, we got a party going on
Yes.
when we stay aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why spiritual study is so valuable because you're reading the word, you're possibly writing the word, you're speaking the word, and then ideally you're also feeling, you know, be it God, Gaia, Spirit, Universe, the multi-named that we talked about earlier.
Right.
So that's co-creating.
Right.
It's very effective.
Very effective. And that makes us very powerful beings. All of us.
Mm-hmm.
All of us. How
Yeah.
beautiful is that?
Think about that. Being able to create what you don't want.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty powerful.
Being able to create what you don't want.
And that always makes me think about people who dance not to the beat. You watch somebody dancing, and my mind, honestly, I think, how could they do that? That's got to be so hard. Because when I taught, say, step aerobics a long time ago, I could not step down on the up on the downbeat or down on the upbeat, the opposite beats.
Right.
I tried it just for fun. It's like my body automatically recalibrated.
Mm-hmm.
So we can be powerfully creating whatever we desire, for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what's important, for folks to understand is that we not only can create for ourselves, but we do, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
consciously or unconsciously, going back to what we put after those two words, I am. I am magnificent. I am a genius now. It took me a long time to get there, but yeah. The power of the word.
Yes. Yes.
Ladies, what would you like to leave the folks with? Both of you, not at the same time.
I think for me, I would like to leave folks with the opportunity to activate that connection, that crossing over, that coming together by writing what you desire. Write what you desire with your hand on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Write it out in as much detail as you can. and then just leave space for spirit to deliver it through you.
You kind of let it do what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm. And I would layer that with unabashedly, just no limits, no matter how crazy you might think, oh, well, I could, nope, stop. You weren't invited to the party. And just really, when you do it like that, you get giddy. Your emotions start to shift with you could say the insanity of it all, but it's such a good, fun feeling. And then you release it. You're like, I'll do what I can do.
Yeah.
And the rest is on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really fun to really details, like you said, be detailed and not to get in the quagmire of the details, but to get in the wideness of all the opportunity, the possibilities.
Yeah. One of the fun things that I used to do when I would do workshops around creating your life in a conscious way would be to have people write out a letter to themselves of a year from now, right? What will my life be like a year from now? Write it down now. And then I would take the letters, they would, put in an envelope, address it to themselves. And then a year later, I would mail it out to everybody. And one time I was at a session and the facilitator did that. And so a year later, I forgot everything that I had written. And I get this letter back a year later, and I'm reading this letter, and just about every single thing that I wrote in this letter had manifested. The only thing that did not was my Range Rover. I wanted a Range Rover. That was the only thing that did not manifest. Everything else did.
And what did you get?
Powerful.
Did you get a different vehicle, or you still had the same one?
No, I did get I got a Ford Explorer.
Yep. So see, there you go. Because you wrote down the Range Rover, you got something nice.
Mm-hmm.
You may still have been driving your same old car had you not in the thoughts of this or better, kind of, as we say sometimes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Unbelievable and fun.
And fun. It was a lot of fun. So
And
that's something that people might want to try on for themselves.
Right. And I'm going to layer on to what you two ladies spoke about, right? And to write it out. And what I want to add is to follow your bliss. What brings you bliss? What, and we talk about this a lot, right? What's your purpose? But also, what brings you bliss, and write it out and be as detailed as you possibly can, and have fun with it, and then let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And do what you're going to do. It's follow your bliss. Write that stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love science fiction, and when I'm reading it, I never say that could never happen.
Right.
Right. Because in my mind it is. While I'm reading it, it's happening.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What I love about us being so divinely human and humanly divine, so beautifully crafted, is that we can think of something and then feel into that, and the body doesn't know if it's real or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, we get to create through our feelings, our words, our actions, our words, our thoughts, our actions, and all that good stuff. Action is important. So just real fast, the importance of writing what your desires are, and then to put feeling tone into it and know that it's done. This little thing that we're doing here called the Academy of Self-Mastery began by me writing out, okay, what would I love to do? Mm-hmm. Oh, this is what I would love to do. And here it is, with the people that I wrote down.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. Because as Melissa says, it's the law of yes.
Law of yes.
Aye, Captain, your wish is my command.
And Eugene, that's how I ended up here, because I had been, prior to you inviting me, had been spending a lot of time thinking about starting a podcast, because people were starting to tell me, you should have a podcast, you should have a podcast. And so when things will come in threes, I'll go, okay, maybe I should pay attention to this. My first thoughts were, oh, the editing, oh, the music, and so I put it to the side. And very shortly after well, I'm going to do the editing and I'm going to do the music. Just like, what's happening?
It's
Of
like,
course, my answer is yes.
right.
Right. Don't worry about the how.
Don't worry about the how.
Just show up.
Just show up.
Just show up. Just show up. And stay excited about it.
Yes.
Stay excited about it. So when you write that stuff out, folks, write it out with excitement. Be as unlimited as you possibly can. Yeah. The sky is the limit and beyond. In fact, there is no limit. There is no limit. So yeah, we'll just end right there. Sky's the limit. So folks, to go out and create a beautiful life, because it's on you to do so. And it's your gift to do so. It's your honor to create and live the life that you want. What is that, Melissa, that we talked about last week? We are dreaming the universe while simultaneously the universe is dreaming us.
Yes.
So dream, we talk about, you ask somebody, so how are you doing? Living the dream. I'm living the dream. And they really don't mean it like that. So yes, after we got off, I'm like, oh, living the dream. No, dreaming the life that I want to live. Dreaming the life I want to live. Write out that dream and then just get busy.
What was that thing again? Can you repeat it about the universe?
The universe is dreaming us while simultaneously we are dreaming it.
Okay. I need that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. It's in last week's show.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. Okay. We can keep going and keep going, because that's what we do. However, Elle, thank you so very much for being here and for being my beautiful friend.
My pleasure, always.
Melissa, same thing. Thank you for being here and being just so beautifully supportive in all that you do around the world and all that.
Peace.
And thank you everybody for tuning into another episode of the Academy of Self-Mastery, Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery.
That part right there.
Yeah.
That part right there, right? And I wrote that out.
Yeah.
Peace and blessings, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Peace.